Hello, students. Welcome back. We are skipping all the way to Module 4 because we think it'll be easier to teach during remote, where Module 2 will be, it's more of a hands-on thing. So this is linear equations. If you know anything about linear equations, if you remember from last year, the word line is in there. Linear equations are straight lines, okay? So let's take a look at the vocabulary first. If you take the time to pause this and read these and get to know them, it's very important. Speed, we're not going to talk too much about. Horizontal line going straight across. You see the horizon. It's parallel to the x-axis, which goes across. A linear equation, straight line. Point slope equation of a line is a way we write the line that will help us figure out the slope of the line, which is how steep it is, which is very important. Slope of a line in a Cartesian plane, a number given by the change in x. So the slope tells us how steep the line is, how fast does it go up. The slope intercept really puts that slope into perspective. So obviously, if you're paying attention here, slope is very important in linear equations and linear lines. Solution to a system of linear equations, that's when you have two or more linear equations and they're straight lines, and so they'll cross one point. Where that point is becomes important. The standard form, this is just another way of writing a linear equation. A system of linear equations is two or more, obviously. A vertical line, straight up and down. Along the y-axis, it's perpendicular to the x-axis, right? So your x and your y are perpendicular. One is vertical, one is horizontal. The x-intercept is the point where the line crosses that x-axis. So if a line goes across it, where that point is important. Again, the y-axis, also same thing. Y-axis is probably more important than the x-axis, but we'll talk about that later in the chapter. The coefficient, you should know this. It's that number in front of the letter. So if you have like 3x, 3 is your coefficient. It's the number that multiplies. So 3x means I have x plus x plus x. So I'm adding x 3 times. Not to be confused with exponents. So let's make sure we know that. All right. So coefficient, the number that's multiplying times a variable. It's usually written right next to it. An equation is when you have two mathematical expressions that are equal. So this is equal to this, and they work backwards and forwards. So I can put the x equals y, or the x equals a 50 million, whatever it is, forwards or backwards, they're completely equal. Like terms are terms whose variables and their exponents are the same. So x is the same as x. 3x and 5x are like terms. Negative 12x and 3x are like terms. They're alike because they have just one x. 3x squared would be different than 3x. So they're not like terms. You cannot combine them. But like 3x and negative 12, 3x squared and negative 12x squared would be like terms. You can combine those. So the x and the exponent are important. X and y obviously are different. And numbers are combined with numbers. Y's are combined with y's. A's with a's. B's with b's. Squared, cubes, fifth powers. They're all different, but they can combine with each other if they're the same. And then linear expression, numbers, symbols, and operators such as plus and times are grouped together to show that the value of something where no term has a greater power than 1. So 3x plus 5 is a linear expression because the x doesn't have a power greater than 1. Okay? 3x squared is not a linear expression because the x is squared. The solution is the value we can put in place for the variable that makes the equation true. So 3x plus 4 equals 12. What is that number for x that makes that equation true? That's the solution. A term we just talked about, it's a single mathematical expression, a number or a variable or a bunch of variables multiplied, variables and coefficients, but they can never be added or subtracted. Once you add or subtract them, then they become separate terms. So 3x plus 5x, that's two terms, a 3x and a 5x. I can combine them and make it an 8x. Then that would be one term, but 3x and 5x is two different terms. So remember that. And then unit rate, we've talked about a unit rate. When you divide the unit rates, one of them is 1, the second quantity is 1. That's how many of one of those. Like I drive my car on the highway at 55 miles per hour. For 1 hour, I go 55 miles. That's my unit rate. And a variable is a symbol, usually a letter for a value we don't know. So X is the most common variable we usually have. Okay, so that's lesson 1. Good luck on that, and we will talk to you soon.